Welcome to SJS Arts. This is the first episode of Film Trio, a new video series where in each episode I will talk about three films. Those films will always be recent watches and they will be recent watches that I have enjoyed. Although maybe there will be some special occasions where I will talk about some films that I didn't really enjoy, but I think I mostly want to highlight films that I've really enjoyed. And in this first episode, I will actually talk about three films that I really loved. Yeah, but I think the idea in this video series will be that I will kind of do like very short reviews for each film, so they won't be like very in-depth long reviews, but more kind of short reviews where I will talk about the films, maybe give some like surface level analysis on the films, maybe tell you what the films are like so you can decide whether you want to watch them too and things like that. But we'll see how this series will develop. And I might actually do quite a few episodes soon because I haven't really talked about my recent watches lately. And there have been lots of great recent watches for me, and I've watched lots of films. In some days, I've watched even like three or four films, and usually at least one film a day. So I've watched lots of stuff in the past month or so. Yeah, but we'll see how this goes. So the first film I will talk about in this first episode is Perfect Days by the great Wim Wenders. So you probably have heard about this film as it has been hyped up quite a lot recently, but I actually really love this movie. Um, yeah, so it's this kind of simple slice of life film. And even though it's by a German director, Wim Wenders, it was actually shot in Japan and it's kind of a Japanese film. Yeah, but it's about this old guy who is a cleaner of toilets. That's his job, and he lives a very simple life. Okay, he cleans toilets by the day, and then in his free time he listens to music, mostly like 60s, 70s, American and British stuff. And then he also reads books like they show him reading William Faulkner, for example. So this is really my type of film. I love these films where nothing really happens. I love these films that are about the simple things in life and the beauty of minimalism, you could say. But even though this is a fairly happy film and they show this old guy to be like a fairly happy person, even though he doesn't have much, but there's this kind of underlining sadness in there as well that maybe his life actually isn't as happy or as great as we first think. And we kind of get introduced to his family at some point in the film, and there is kind of lots of interesting dynamics there as his family maybe are in a kind of different kind of class position and they actually have money. His sister at least has money. It at least seems like that. So there's a bit of that kind of class battle in this film, even though it's not the main thing here. Yeah. And I think one complaint I've seen about this movie, and which I kind of agree with, even though I really love this movie, is that again, this main character, he's a Japanese old guy, but he has like a very Western taste in everything that he reads American literature and listens to American and British music, and he doesn't seem to be that interested in Japanese literature or Japanese music. So it kind of seems like that maybe Wim Wenders kind of planted his own taste in music and literature into this character. So you can kind of see from that thing that it's a Japanese film made by an European director. And I kind of have a small gripe with that, but I don't think it kind of diminishes the beauty of this movie or makes this movie bad or anything because I still think that it's a 5 star. Great movie, exactly kind of my cup of tea. Yeah, but that's kind of a small minor flaw about the film, but I think I loved absolutely everything else. Yeah. And I could just watch these types of films like 24/7. This also has like very beautiful cinematography as Wim Wenders films tend to have. Lots of like great wide shots and for the most part it has a fairly naturalistic color. there are also like lots of these beautiful like scenes in the dark and yeah. And then there are interesting side characters. I, for example, like this young woman character who is in the car with this old guy, and then this younger cleaner of toilets, and they listen to music, and the young woman is really getting into the music. I like that stuff a lot. And then also when the family comes to the picture, I really like that stuff too. And in the end, it kind of gets a bit darker in the tone, but I don't want to spoil it too much. But I really love this, and it might actually be my second favorite Wim Wenders film, which is quite crazy. But Paris, Texas is my favorite and will probably always be my favorite, but I really need to rewatch Wings of Desire. And Wim Wenders also has another new film called Anselm out, which is a documentary, and it was just added to the Criterion channel, so I might watch it that way. But but anyway, I really love this movie. I think it's a new favorite and great performance by Koichi Yakusho and great directing from Wim Wenders, great cinematography and pretty much great everything. So this has been hyped for a reason. Yeah. But then we have a film for from one of my favorite directors, and this was maybe the last Fassbinder, like last fairly highly rated Fassbinder film that I hadn't seen. Yeah, so it's Martha. So this was such a great movie. So it's about this woman whose father dies, but then she meets this guy, very kind of narcissistic, very abusive guy. They get married, and then she has to live in a very abusive marriage. But even though that sounds very dark, this is actually like a really funny movie. It's a dark comedy, but I think maybe not all people will see it as a dark comedy. But I actually laughed a lot when I watched this, and this, by the way, I watched on Criterion channel. So if you're interested, yeah. But great performances, and the humor is kind of, even though it's dark, it's fairly subtle humor. So you have to kind of pay attention to the film to really get all the humor and the nuances of the humor. This was a film that it took me a while to get into it. So the first half an hour, I was kind of like, yeah, this is good, but I'm not loving it. But then when the film is all about Martha and her husband when they get married, after that, I just started absolutely loving the film. Like there are these kind of low key, like absolutely hilarious scenes, like when the um husband is like making Martha read like a very thick book about like engineering that she isn't interested at all, but like the man is just saying that I'm an engineer, you need to understand these details, and then she reads it and learns it by heart, and then she can recite the book and stuff. Yeah, and it's such a toxic relationship. Yeah, so it's a really good balance of kind of almost like horror and comedy. Those things are really hard to balance, but I think Fassbinder really balanced it well here. It also has a great cinematography, great use of color, and great angles and stuff, as very usual in Fassbinder films. Very interesting climax as well. Yeah, but a really funny movie. Yeah, I love dark comedy, and this is one of the best of them. And this is a new all-time favorite. Of course, Fassbinder, even before watching this film, is my second favorite director of all time, and this just kind of makes it even stronger case for why he is such a big favorite of mine. Although Eric Romer is just getting there that he might actually be my second favorite soon, but we'll see. Like my top five, there's lots of kind of contentiousness there at the moment. David Lynch is my number one, then second is Fassbinder, third is Ingmar Bergman, then fourth is Eric Romer at the moment, and fifth is Ozu. And I actually think that Ingmar might go down a couple of places, and then the top four might be like Lynch, Fassbinder, Romer, and Ozu, or it might be like Lynch, Romer, Fassbinder, Ozu, and then Ingmar. But we'll see. It's really hard. And again, pretty much all of those directors I like pretty much the same amount, but there are just those kind of small nuances why I prefer one director to the other. Yeah, you can probably relate to things like this. First world problems. Yeah, but then this is a like really great masterpiece by Frank Borzage. It's I've Always Loved You. This was the first Borzage film I ever watched, and then I watched another one after I watched this, and I went into a kind of classic Hollywood binge for a couple of days after I watched this, although that kind of wear off very quickly. But this is about this young woman who is like an amazing pianist. She lives in the country with her father and with like this farm boy. But then she meets this kind of great conductor, and the conductor sees that she has like lots of potential, as her father kind of introduces the young woman and the um, conductor. Yeah, because the father actually knew this conductor beforehand. Yeah, but then she goes into a journey with this conductor through like Europe and Latin America and many places. And she has always wanted to travel, so she's really excited about it. But the conductor is quite of a toxic person, like a textbook example of toxic masculinity, very controlling and has a very high opinion of himself. So there's this kind of scene in this movie where there's this music scene when she's playing the piano and he's conducting, and then everybody sees that she is actually more talented than the conductor, and then but he cannot handle that she is better than him. So we see that kind of toxic masculinity there and that controlling nature of many men. So there's these kind of very interesting relationship dynamics here. And I think it also explores kind of also what is greatness and things like this. And this is a very melodramatic film, and it kind of explores also like the concept of power in this kind of micro environment in like relationships. So yeah, that's very interesting. And the music scenes, by the way, are absolutely amazing. And I think this film would be a great double bill with the Red Shoes, as I think this that goes with many of the same themes and it has lots of the same vibe as the Red Shoes. Yeah, performances are great. There are many kind of small details that I loved about this film. Like I love how she always calls him like maestro, maestro, maestro. Like it's almost like it starts becoming like really funny, even though it's kind of sad at the same time as she's kind of so in love with the maestro that she lets him treat her like shit because she's so in love with him. And then she's just, yeah, maestro, maestro, maestro. Yeah, take me. You can have all the power. Yeah, I'll behave now. So it's very sad. Yeah, that she doesn't like realize that. Yeah, she should be more independent and fight against that toxic masculinity. Yeah. Well, I guess in many ways this is kind of like a feminist film and quite ahead of its time in how it discusses the relationship between men and women and those power dynamics and things like that. And even though it's melodramatic and you kind of get very emotional at points when you watch this, it's still also like very funny. So it's kind of like a drama, but also a comedy in a way. And there's like this fun moment when like there's this huge concert scene that I also already mentioned, and there's this guy. Yeah, I only listen to Beethoven. I don't listen to Rachmaninoff and things like that that are really funny to me. Yeah. Well, I absolutely adore this film. I think it's a hidden gem. It's really sad that not even like 1,000 people have rated it on Letterboxd because to me this is actually one of the best films of the 40s probably. And by the way, I watched this on YouTube. And the copy on YouTube is actually 1080p. So there's no excuse not to watch it as it has such a great quality print on YouTube and it's such a beautiful looking movie as well. And I forgot to mention that there's this also this kind of love triangle as the farm boy that she leaves back home. Um, is completely in love with her, but she doesn't realize her love for him at first. So there's this kind of love triangle, but it gets solved in the end. And yeah, it's such a beautiful movie, such a great movie. I think I will watch this very often in the future, and hopefully that Kobe stays in in YouTube. And this would really deserve like a great kind of boutique release, I think. And I think me and Altes are probably gonna talk about this on the podcast at some point, hopefully. Yeah, great movie. I think this is my favorite out of these three, but I again loved all of them. But anyway, let me know if you have seen any of these films or any other films from these directors. Let me know all of your thoughts. And hopefully you are maybe now interested in watching these films. But anyway, this was the first episode of Film Trio, and look out for more episodes. They might be coming very soon. But anyway, thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.